everyone, welcome back to the live stream today. We are installing the Lonseal flooring in our California build. And yeah, I'm gonna take you through the whole entire process. I think of a lot of videos that I've done before. I have the flooring pre-cut and I'm pretty much just applying the epoxy to the floor and then kind of rolling it out. But we're gonna do complete start to finish. So all I've done here is actually just laid the floor into the van. I'm going to show you how I divide up the floor so that I know where to fold it, the whole install process, as well as the materials that we use to install this. So first things first, let's talk about what type of material we're using for this floor. So we're using a product called Lonseal. So it's a vinyl flooring. It comes from the marine industry. It's put on boats, decks, and stuff like that. But also commercial applications such as hospitals, commercial buildings, stuff like that. And there's different types of Lonseal. I've talked about this in some other videos. And some have special coatings on top. So there's different types of textures and stuff like that you guys can get. But today we're going to go with a product called Lawn Wood Dakota Top Seal, and the one that we're getting is called Honey Cakes right here. And it's really nice. As you guys can see, it's this, oh here I got a better view. There we go. So it looks like hardwood flooring. It matches really nice with bamboo, if you have bamboo in the van. The Texas build that we did has the same exact floor in it. And if my voice sounds a little weird, I'm kind of getting over a cold, so bear with me on this video. But yeah, Lonseal, there's two other things you're gonna need. One is gonna be the epoxy. So Lonseal makes this epoxy, and it's a two-part epoxy that you have to mix, and then there's a limited amount of time that it's going to take for you to actually apply this. So believe it or not, you only have 15 minutes working time. So essentially what that means is once you mix it, you got 15 minutes after it's combined to do each side. So that's about 7 minutes a side. I typically take about 8 minutes for this side, maybe, and then I get to this side, and usually about 75% complete. The epoxy starts to harden, and it's really hard to scrape it. So a floor like this can be stressful, so that's why I make these videos, to kind of show you guys the complete process. If you guys haven't been here on the channel before, the live streams are live, so nothing's kind of pre-canned or anything like that. So this is going to be a really long video. Some people might be boring, but if you're doing this as a DIY project on your own, it can be really helpful just to kind of watch. You can scrub through the video later if you don't want to listen to me kind of talking about products and stuff like that. But essentially, the stressful part is the two-part epoxy. The benefits of that is it's a very good adhesion to the floor. And the reason I really like Lonseal products is because a van gets really hot in the summertime, really cold in the wintertime, so the expansion and contraction, the floor goes through a lot. Underneath the floor is going to be a, let's see here, there we go. So underneath this floor we have plywood subfloor. That's on top of 1-inch foam, and I think it's the polyiso that we're using. But we have 1-inch foam, and then we have 1/2-inch plywood. The 1/2-inch plywood, I don't use Baltic birch. I use just a standard 4x8 sheet of plywood, like from Home Depot or Lowe's. And the reason I do that is, believe it or not, this wood's a little bit more flexible. And what I've noticed with these vans is there's a little bit of a crown to the van when they're manufactured. Some are worse than others. Some have some weird pop-in areas where like you can step on it and it kind of pops up and down. And so I address all that, get the floor nice and secure, and then come through. I'm going to show you some pictures here in a second, but this white coat on top is a bonding primer. So it's pretty much like a primer paint coat, but it's specifically designed to prime the surface to get ready for an epoxy coat on top. So we're going to do that, and then the next step, put the epoxy on, and then we actually roll this material down here. And this material is very thick. So I guess about a 1/16 of an inch thick, which is pretty thick. And then we'll actually we have a roller, a very heavy roller that you can rent. We rent it from a company, Sunbelt Rentals. I think you rent it for like $30 for the day, something like that. It's really cheap. And then we roll it. We wait 2 hours. We do a finished roll, and the rolling is to get any air bubbles out. I'll show you how to minimize the air bubbles in here by the folding method that I use to install it. And this is available in another YouTube video that I'll show you guys, and that is this video right here. It's the Ultimate Camper Van Flooring Guide. So, so I'm gonna put a link to this in the chat if you guys want to check that out. Also, you can contact me at odysseycustomvans.com if you guys would like any type of help, guidance with your flooring install. So I do a consultation, a paid consultation link that you guys can click on and schedule a time with me if you have any specific questions. But I really like, this video became pretty popular. It's just showing you the entire process. So going for the sound deadening that's on the floor, and then making its way through explaining the different layers of the floor to the foam. And this is a good segue right here, because what we can do is we're going to be able to show you how the electrical gets into this floor. Give me 1 second. I'm going to try to turn on this other camera really quick. See, video capture device. All right. That is number 2. Stay with me now. Trying to get this picture in picture here. Here we go. Okay. All right. That way you can kind of like, I'm here. Following along with the video. Okay. So this is a van that we did. This is one of the first vans, professional builds that I did. So this is called Glacier. You guys can find this on the homepage of Odyssey Custom Vans. But in here it shows where the electrical is being wired. So I like to do is 95 to 98% of my wiring under the floor. Just keeps all the walls clean, so we're not drilling through portions of the wall. So let's go to, let me hop on over and pull up some photos that I took of this build in preparation for this. So since I've been busy, I haven't been able to make these smaller videos to show you guys behind the scenes, but I've been taking photos to kind of get that content. So this is the van. This is a picture of a photo of the floor of the van that we're actually working on today. And this is the main channel where all the power is coming from the driver's side of the van to the passenger side. Typically the driver's side is where all the power is going to be supplied. So your DC to DC cables from the alternator, which is on the under the batteries for the Ford Transit under the driver's seat. We tap into those batteries because that's where the alternator positive lines actually terminate to charge the batteries. We tap into that, we put a fuse, and then we bring that to the back of the van for our DC to DC chargers to convert that 12 volts to a profile to charge the lithium batteries appropriately. So that's all ran on the driver's side, but once it's on the driver's side and it goes into our fuse panel, we need to break it across a van so that we can get it to the kitchen galley where we have the water heater, water pump, and stuff like that. The water heater is 110 volts. So we're coming across, the inverter is going to be on the driver's side, so we need to bring that household power underneath the floor. We also need to bring the 12 volt underneath the floor, and then any additional accessories. So if you have a reading light, for example, in your van, if you have components like that. So like if we go here in the van, you'll see, let me move up here. So if we make our way to the back of the van real quick, we got all these cables stuffed up on the driver's side, so that's all our supply. But then underneath here we have like a 12 volt reading light. All those cables come up through this column. They power the ceiling lights. So all that has to be considered before you put the floor in. And then you need to have this, what I do is I mock everything up on the inside. There's some kitchen galleys and some cabinets over here. Those have been mocked up inside. They've been taken back out. Because once the floor goes in, you kind of lose any type of reference that you might have had on the floor. So for example, if we're looking here on the floor, I've got my center line marked. I've got some other markings, and that helped me get an idea of where things are going to be before I put the floor down. And then once you put the floor down, I just use masking tape. Now, all this stuff does come together. If this looks kind of like a kind of fragmented right now, but basically you got to think of everything that's going in the van first. And if you're going to do this method where you put everything on the floor, it takes a lot of pre-planning. And actually, if you look on the floor, I'm always making little notes of, you know, did I get my LED ran, my water pump, power, the bed lights, you know, the hot water, the 110 outlet that's going to go by the kitchen galley as well, by the door. So we have all that, and if we start making our way to the actual foam being laid down, and the parts that are missing, you can click on that link to the other video. But we glue everything down with this product called PL Marine, and so it's an adhesive from Loctite. So you guys can see this in the camera. PL Marine. It's expensive. It's about $14, sometimes $15 a tube or more. But it's designed for boats. So like if you have a fitting on a boat that you need to fit underwater, essentially, it will cure underwater. It's pretty wild. But what makes it a great application for these floors is it's really good at bonding to metal, wood, foam, plastic, and that's all these layers of the sandwich that we have in this van. So by having all those features, it makes it a really good product to glue the you know, the wood to the floor of the van. I mean, the foam to the floor of the van, the wood to the foam, and that's what you're looking at right here. So this is just a little zigzag, and it takes about 2 tubes per section. And so when I say section, there's actually 3 different sections of this flooring system. So what we have, let's see here. So we go here. If you can look, this is one section, and then there's a line here, and then this right here is the middle section, and then this is the rear section. We use a company called ABC Rig. That's where I get our floor templates from. We also get our floor step and trim. So that's that trim that you're going to see at the back of a van, the nice powder-coated steel step, as well as some other trim pieces that go into the van. So we use those. The other thing that we use is the templates from this company to trace out our floors. So you can actually go to their website, pick up transit, high roof, doesn't matter. And then what you can see is they have this flooring system, but they also have these paper floor templates that you can purchase if you're doing a DIY install. And what these templates will do is they're going to help you to...
Are you looking for the ultimate?
Let's see here. See if he shows the templates. Anyway, these are printed out life-size templates of the floor. You trace them out, you lay it on your piece of plywood, you cut it out with the jigsaw. It's nice, straightforward. And it also lines up perfectly with the step trim, so you have a nice, clean, professional install. We do all the plywood in-house, and then the template I've bought once, but I've used it on multiple vans that we've installed the flooring on. It's kind of now it's our standard. Next, come back to our photos. Where did our photos go? And we'll talk about this later. This was another product that we installed for this customer. It looks really cool. It's very challenging, but I'm going to show you that later, maybe later this weekend. Those are the kitchen galleys that we put together. This is a kit from Timber Van Kits, formerly Titan DIY Van Kits. And this is what we will install: the fridge and the water system, all the outlets, the USB-C plugs, the water pump on and off switch, for example. So those have all been assembled, painted, and pre-installed, and then are mocked up, and then I just removed them this morning. This is what it looks. This is the craziness you guys can expect when you do a job like this. When you put the wood floor down, it's imperative that all the seams are perfectly flush. And so a couple different ways you can do that is you can put this a piece of plywood. You see I have batteries holding this down. This looks wild, but you really just got to grab whatever you have that has weight on it. But what we're doing is we're taking a piece of 1/2-inch plywood and putting it on top of the seam, kind of like an iron almost, to kind of press and make sure when the marine adhesive cures that it's nice and flush. And then after that, what we do is we do a sand. We sand the floor. And so, for example, these transitions, we need them to be perfect, because if you don't and you put the Lonseal on, what's going to happen in the van is that right here there'll be a bump, and you don't see it when you walk into the van in this direction, but when you come from the back of the van, like you have the back door of the van open, and there'll be the two seams. It's almost like a ceiling drywall seam that was done bad, and it just doesn't look professional, and I don't like it. So I just make sure I have a solution that doesn't make that happen. It's a little bit tedious because you have to, get all this kind of sandwich right. But if you do it, I'm telling you, you're going to really enjoy the professional install you do in your van. So we take the plywood, we glue it in, and then once everything's nice and level, sanded down, we come through, and then this is that bonding primer that I use. It's from Benjamin Moore. It's called Stix, S-T-I-X. And I just do one nice heavy coat, back roll it like one time and we're good to go. And this is what allows the epoxy to, now you could do this technically without putting the bonding primer on. You could just put the epoxy right on top of it. I think technically the instructions say it is possible, but my goal is that once I do this, I don't ever want to come back to it. So each step of the process, I'm making sure that I'm not going back. So I do it to the best of my ability, and then I go to the next step. Same as for the wiring and everything. Even the wiring, I usually run 1 or 2 extra cables just in case. Although I do a lot of planning in case I goof and I miss a circuit, or to have a circuit for the customer in the future if they want to expand the system. That's in there as well. So a bunch of different layers of the process. But once this primer goes down, it needs 24 hours to dry, and then you're ready to actually do the flooring install. And so that takes us to where we're at right now. So we're inside the van, and the first thing we need to do after you get your Lonseal in is you want to lay it out in the van. And I've got this camera in kind of a weird position, so I wanted to do this because I always have the camera coming from the back of the van, and it's not the nicest shot. But what we're going to do, besides the epoxy, you're going to need some other tools. You're going to need a pair of latex gloves. You're going to need these 2 items. So we have a trowel that you need to buy, and this is a specific trowel you need to get. And trust me, it's really, really important. The depth of these, come on, focus here. So you guys can see that, there you go. These grooves in here are specific, so when it slides across the floor, when the epoxy levels back out, it's a specific thickness of epoxy. And you want everything in the van to be as level as possible, because when you roll it, you don't want to have a big clump in the floor, because that's going to create 2 things. The clump is going to be a bump, but then that bump may create like a little air pocket, and you're never going to be able to get back to it. So you'll see me use this in the video. If you guys want to grab down that part number, if you go to perfectfit.com, they are who I purchased these items from, and these products will be suggested upon checkout. So you want to grab this, and then next go to Lowe's and get one of these mixers for the epoxy. This is going to be a one-time use, so I think it's like 10 or 12 bucks or something like that, but this right here is going to really help you speed the process up as far as mixing goes. You want to make sure you don't waste any time. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay the floor out. We're going to cut it out and trim it so that it's as if it was installed by cutting all the edges, getting everything laid down flat. Then we're ready, and then we can jump over, mix our epoxy, and then get back to the floor. So this video you see, it's just lots and lots and lots of preparation for a job that the gluing job just takes about 30 minutes. And yeah, I'm gonna be blowing my nose throughout this a minute, so mute the audio, save you guys a little bit. I did a big cleanup in the shop, and I think all the dust just got to me, but it's okay. We're gonna make it. This is on the list to get knocked out today, so we got to do it. Okay, where was I? Let's hop back in the back of the van, and I'll keep talking about what we're doing. So so two different sizes. Standard Ford Transit 148-inch wheelbase is you'll need a 12-foot piece. And a 12-foot piece is gonna overhang about 8 inches or so. Don't, 12 is the minimum. There's nothing you can really use the epoxy for. Once you mix it, there's nothing really you can use the extra trim of the floor for after you use it. So just focus on getting the floor length correct. And then the next thing we're going to do is I put this in here last night so that it can lay down. I've got the heater on in the shop. I've got the shop up to 72 degrees. It's about the midpoint of the install temperature, which is perfect. The range for installing this needs to be from 65 degrees Fahrenheit to 85 degrees Fahrenheit max. So try to get it in the middle point, because with the two-part epoxy, it's just like a two-part. It's the same thing as a two-part epoxy that you would use to glue something. So they make the sticks that are 2-minute set, 5-minute set, 10-minute set. This one is about 15 minutes. You get a little bit. Got about 5 minutes of forgiveness. So about 20 minutes and to get this floor installed. So sounds stressful. Just trust me, I've done this a bunch of times. It's live. You're going to see the whole thing. So lay the floor out the night before, and then the next thing you want to do is, you might have seen where I put a chalk line on the middle of the floor. So this chalk line is doing two purposes. One, it's going to be my center for when I screw in 2 screws into this floor. So I will be drilling 2 screws in this floor, and one's going to be at the top, and then one is going to be back here at the back. And what that is going to do is that is going to allow me to bolt the front, screw the front down, and then I can get my angle back here just perfect, and then I can put a screw back here. My trim pieces are going to cover that screw, but the point of the screw is, it's so once I get this floor laid out, I'm going to put the 2 screws in, then I can manipulate the floor without getting the floor out of position. Because one thing I need to do is, on the driver's side, that is going to be this is going to be like our home side where the floor cleanly bumps up to. Typically that's where like a dinette or swivel seats are going to be, and what's important, why that's important is because there is going to be a panel right here, and there's already a upholstered panel that's been sized to this section. It kind of fits in like a pocket. It goes right into this floor, and so we need this clean edge. I want it to cleanly line up with exactly where I have this floor. So through all the vans that I've done, I've kind of progressively improved how I do this. Sometimes I had the panel on top of the floor as the, after the fact. Sometimes I had it inside, and I like it on the inside with the floor kind of coming up to it, just for this particular install. So that's what I'm going to do here. But because I want that line to be nice and clean, that is where I want this, so I have this laid down so where this is now perfectly where that piece of wood is, and I've got also up here, right at the edge of the front of the van. This section is going to be visible right here, and this is always kind of the pain in the butt area, because when you're be using the razor, we've got the reveal of the chassis right here. We're going to be we got the electrical lines here, and then we need the floor to be nice and neat. So you'll see this will take me a while to get this cut out. And I think for the first time I'm going to use, I'm going to make a cardboard template to get this down and then trace it onto here and then lay it down and have that cut out. We'll see how that goes. Yep. So that's why we want to need the 4 aligned. Up here, we've got the same thing. We got that line comes all the way up to the front. And yeah, so that is what we're going to do with the floor. So yeah, really the next step is to find out where we're going to drill this in, and then we're just going to get started. And throughout the video, feel free to ask any questions. This is going to be a long video because I'm going to be talking a lot, working at the same time. So don't think that the length of this video is how long it takes to install this. In all honesty, 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes to trace this out. You only have 30 minutes to really do the epoxy because of the nature of the epoxy. So that, maybe 3 or 4 hours for a DIYer might be a good time to set aside to do this. And hopefully you're doing it inside. You don't have to do it outside, but I mean, if it's a decent day outside, you could probably knock it out. Before we put the epoxy on, we're going to take like a leaf blower, a broom. We're going to clean everything out. But now we're going to get these screws put in here. So we'll do one at the front, and then we'll show you how to do one at the back. Just remember, if you have any questions, put those in the chat. I'd love to answer those for you. As far as clothes or something like that, just wear something that you can get epoxy on accidentally. Be careful when you are doing this because the epoxy will go on, just get on everything. And you'll get it on your knee, and then it, you'll go back inside your house, and then you'll touch something else, and it gets sticky. Okay. Now, you don't have to use this. I'm using Craig screws. I kind of like the aggressiveness that they have going in the floor. Now, these screws are not permanent. These are just temporary, but you want to have something nice and strong. So I will show you what I'm talking about, if you guys can see. This is Craig screw here. Come on, camera. It's doing so good the other day with the, there we go. So yeah, this is a 1-inch Craig screw. Do be careful. You're going to see me lay tools and stuff on here. I'm being very careful to not scratch anything. This floor has the top seal on it, which is an additional urethane coating that not all Lonseal products have. I make sure a customer picks from a catalog of designs that has that extra layer. It just helps if you goof and you don't wipe your shoes off and you got a little bit of like dirt and stuff like that. At the end of the day, if you have something metal, sharp, a rock, it will scratch this. But day to day, in and out, dogs and stuff like that, this stuff is really, really, really good. It's exceptional product for that. If you're going to be sliding kayaks in and out of your van, for example, or something very aggressive, the 2Tech2 product that we put in Mike's van, which surprisingly have not done at the van tour. We will get to his van because his van's done, and you got to check out that floor. It's really awesome. Actually, here I'm gonna pull a little piece. I got it right here on the cart. So this is the 2Tech2 flooring. This is what it looks like. So it's a woven vinyl floor, and you can see I'm actually going to take this screw. So you see how this is. It's extremely durable. See if I can get zoomed in, yeah. So it's a woven vinyl, it comes in different colors. It's very, very thick for a flooring material. It's almost, almost a 1/4 inch thick. It's got this felt backing right here. And it's made in Belgium, which is interesting. But yeah, it's very tough. So we put that in his van because he's sliding mountain bikes and all kinds of stuff in and out. All right, so we're going to triple check that we have this where we want it, and then we're gonna put a screw in here. So I like where it's at over here. This front piece looks like we're nicely centered up. However, it would be really good if I could, let's see here. Looks like I need to come ever so slightly to the right. Just barely, right there. Okay, so, and that was a little too far. The benefit is once you get this dialed in and you get these screws in here, you can manipulate the floor however you want to, which I'll show you just in a second. So right here we've got top left of the floor showing a little bit of the floor, and this top right covering it. And so what we're going to do is, this is right here is where we're going to put this screw. Now remember, the trim, the floor trim is going to cover this screw that we put in. So this hole will not be visible. Just make sure you don't slip and stab the floor where it is visible. You're going to get pretty close on there because we want to make sure that it holds, but then we can pull it tight at the back of the van. Okay, so we're happy where that one's at. Let's go ahead and grab our next piece. That's why I don't film from the back, because it's like my shirt comes up the whole time I'm showing you guys how I'm building this. Okay, so back here in the back, I'm going to do the same thing. Now I noticed that the top right was a little up. So I want to come back here at the back, and I'm going to just ever so slightly just pull and then just kind of twist a little bit. So now I just gotta, a little bit more. And when I say twist, I'm taking the whole piece and I'm moving it this way. Make sure I don't get somebody outside here. Okay. You can't tell if I'm getting a package or not. So, all right, we twisted it. Let's, okay, that looks really good. All right, so now, I like that. That's perfect right there. You can come in and check our side over here. Excellent. Our side is looking perfect. Very good. Okay, so now we can lock it down in the back. And again, we want to make sure that this is nicely centered back here. Make sure it's flat. This stuff weighs, it's pretty heavy, and there we go. So it does lay down pretty good. We have a foam pad because the next step is going to be, we're going to be trimming, cutting all this out. So now the floor is locked in top to back, or front to back. And what we're going to do is we're going to start trimming along this driver's side so that this lays down over here. And this is one of the more challenging parts of this because this is where accuracy comes in as we're trimming everything. Yeah, so rod, I got this from Perfect Fit is where I buy the flooring from. So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit on the driver's side first. So I'm trying to get a pretty good view of everything. All right, I'm gonna put a little work shirt on and we will get to work. Move the microphone. second. Microphone change. Okay. So now that we have this locked in, the first place that I want to cut a relief in, so we're using a big fat bladed razor. So we're going to go ahead and cut into this section here, where this pillar is. And so what this is doing is that is allowing that relief so that edge comes across. And always give yourself a pretty good amount of room of forgiveness. Now there's going to be a kitchen galley going over here. This is not a critical part that has to be perfect, but take these opportunities to practice with what you're cutting out. Depending on what type of Lonseal you bought, most of them are going to have these really nice straight lines that you can use as a reference mark. So take advantage of that. And then just kind of practice with how this stuff cuts. It's not going to cut like normal, like your typical flooring material. The other thing is, you don't want to butt this up against things where you're going to have like a fold. So what we're doing is we're taking out the ability for that to fold. And also, you can see it's kind of, this is a little bit of wide around here. This is just to get me to have the floor in. And then when it cures, I'll do a little more detailed cutting probably later. For example, for like these wires. But we want it just to lay down flat so the adhesive cures, and then we can go back and do some more cleaner trims. What you don't want to have is have too much overhanging so that there's like this bubble where this thing wants to lift up. So in some areas you may actually want to cut it really close to the wood so it doesn't bubble up. But this allows us that side to lay down. The front's tricky, so we're going to do that. This back part's a little bit easier to just knock out, get some momentum in this video. But these back sections, they're really tricky. Again, this back section right here, it's just kind of like technique over time. It's really the only way I can explain to you how I've learned how to do this. Now this section here is going to be covered, but and you see what I did? I kind of went down too hard. I lifted back up. I'm coming back up. Now, even though I've done this a bunch of times, it doesn't mean I'm perfect. So I gotta not get too, cocky with the way that I'm cutting this. I'm not trying to show off on live stream or anything like that because it doesn't matter. Because if I mess up, I mess up, and I don't have extra flooring. So around here, just get the majority of this off, and then you can kind of come in and get your detail cuts like I'm doing right here. And then just be careful not to get into where your hands are. You can take multiple passes. It doesn't have to be perfect on the first pass. But we want this to lay flat. So just take this and slowly get that curve cut in there. Now the wheel wells, take your time because you kind of want, I mean, it depends on what your build is. If you have a wheel well cover that overlaps this, you can be a little bit more sloppy. I have a piece of 80/20 that's going down here, and then it's going to have a board. So I have about 1.5 to 2 inches of forgiveness on this corner. But and another reason that you want to be really precise is, and also get your scraps that fall underneath there. Just kind of stab them. Okay. You want it, again, I'm going to keep reiterating this probably a million times, but you want it to not touch in the metal and lay flat. Because when you roll it with the roller, it's going to want to kind of peel back up. And if it's touching any part of the metal, it's going to stay lifted, it's going to cure, and then you'll have this air pocket opening that never got laid down properly. And you'll find out every time I keep making this pass, I'm just going in a little bit more than I did last time. And there may be a faster way to do this, but this is my way. Trick I'm using is also, let me move the camera. No, I would not use heat. Yeah, I would not use heat. Let me type that in. If you start to mess with this, you'll notice that it's not really that type of product. It's not like this stuff is really thick. Also, you don't want to bend this over or have it crease anywhere. So right here, if you can kind of think of this like a blade coming straight down, you can see your floor. And there's probably another angle later that you guys will get this info, but I'm looking straight down, and that's kind of where I'm beginning my cut for this this corner over here. Again, this area back here is going to be covered with a what's essentially like a battery enclosure. This is where all the wires are going to be stuffed. So it's not really like a visually critical spot over here. Still want to do a good job, but the opposite side, the other side's different. I want that one to be essentially perfect. So yeah, we just cut out around here. And then we'll come back here to this back corner. Now this part right here, yeah, this part back here is like even stressful to me because it's this part, you see this part, so it needs to be just as perfect as you can make it right here in this corner. So basically what that's going to mean is taking, and remember, when you think that you haven't gone deep enough, you might have gone too far. So take shallower cuts, because when you fold it down, that cut you made will actually be further out than you anticipated. So basically when you're cutting this, you are going to think when it lays down that you did a good job. And you'll find out that you cut too much off of it. That's what I find that I do. I mean, I don't do it now, but that's what I used to do. It's because I'd lay it down, and I'd be like, oh man, I cut too much. So that looks excellent, perfect. Some of this will be cleaned up by the floor trim, but don't always count on that to be what saves a bad cut. So, okay, so I'm just kind of cutting that edge off like that. And then I'll come back here. And then all I'm doing is I'm matching the floor back here because that is where the trim strip is going to be. It's important to cut this back part as perfect as you can because what I've found is every time I do the epoxy back here, the way that the floor is rolled from the factory and then shipped to you, this hump right here, the floor never wants to lay down cleanly, and what happens is once you roll it with the epoxy, it wants to lift back up. And in the past, I've had it to where the trim strip hides it, but it doesn't change the fact that it didn't get, the epoxy didn't glue down appropriately. It kind of puddled up back here, and yeah, I didn't really like that. All right, move here. All right. So now that we have that screw back here, see how everything is kind of locked into place, it's not moving. So it really helps us out for our install. And then I'm just going to come behind here and kind of follow the wood for my edge. And go nice and tight to it. We don't want any overhang. And the reason we don't want overhang is because that's going to bubble up and it's going to make our epoxy, it just makes it not, it's hard to believe, but it actually kind of makes it not stick. It just lifts up. So we don't want it to do that. You'll probably have to pause when you get to this corner because you'll need to roll this down. So we'll stop here. Let's just cut this back section off. So we've got our back edge nice and clean, and you see how it puffs up? That's what you got to make sure you, this back section, you really have to make sure that you get that roller really good on it back here, because it wants to do this hump thing. It just has it. There's weight in the middle holding it down, but on this edge, since that's where it was the last place it was rolled when it was shipped, it's got a curve that's kind of almost baked into it, if you'd say something like that. We're going to move into the van a little bit closer. Let's go here. I'm gonna go right where these wires are real quick. Then we'll move to the front. So we've just got a little notch here. Now, also, don't have any of the floor exposed, because as you put the epoxy down, what happens is it oozes out the sides, and if you have the floor exposed, what tends to happen is it'll get on the roller, and the worst thing you can have happen is it picks up on the roller, and you come into this corner to roll it, and then it rolls it onto your floor. So like imagine like a roller coming here, and if it touched the wood, it picks up a bit of it and it starts to roll it back here. So we always want the floor covered, or just slightly, maybe about 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch overhang. That way the roller never has the possibility of contacting that epoxy. Okay. All right, let's move up to this very difficult area that I'm going to possibly do by hand or make a template for the first time. I don't know. You'll see what I'm feeling here. I usually cut it and then I come back and do detail work on it. Oh yeah, let me mute that. Okay, we're back. There is a cover on the van that it's a factory cover here that gets put back on after I hook up the DC to DC chargers. And so this does go here. So what I'll do is I'm just going to get this as close to perfect on this edge, and then I might tweak it later. The good news is this is perfectly square to this, so I might actually do this for you guys because I can properly, like artistically cut that out. But this would be a good opportunity to show you how to make a quick template to deal with an area on the floor like this. Okay, so we've got a piece of cardboard I'm going to use for this, and we don't need it that big, so we're going to take this out, cut this, and I'll show you how to measure to make something to cut this. Because I got another van coming in the shop, and I kind of want to do this too. Once I make this, it's the exact same for every Transit. I have a bunch of homemade templates in the shop, and I'm always curious if anybody would buy them. I buy the ones from ABC Rig because I have one for the Max fan. I've got one for the CRL windows, driver, passenger, and the awning bunk windows that I've made. And I think what I'm worried about is if you guys did buy them, are you going to interpret the way that I did the template the same as I do cut something out. Also, if you guys are in the chat, how many watching have actually put in a serial window, like a sliding door window or driver's side awning window? Curious. All right, let's make this template. Here we go. Zoom out just a little bit. Just be mindful where your razor's at. And I left the tape measure. So we need a cardboard, tape measure, and a square. Put this together. So here's our piece of cardboard. This is what we're going to use for this. Whatever you use, we just need to make sure what side is a square. And I think this side with the bent edge. Okay. So this and this are square. So we're going to bring this up to here. And we're going to do two things. Measure our depth down. We're going to call that 2.5 inches. So our depth down is 2.5 inches. We want to write it right there. And this is where we need to make a mark somewhere down here, wherever that is. And then from here to here, we will call that 8 inches. So 8 inches. And we're going to come in from there, 8 inches. So we'll come down. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. We'll come down 2.5 and make a dot. 2.5, make a dot. And I'll come over here, make a dot. Okay, so that is our bottom line cut out. And then we want to have 8 inches back from here, so we'll come 8 inches. We'll make another dot right here at 8 inches. And 8 inches right here at the top. Now what I've done is I've allowed this to be, so this is actually 8 inches, 8 1/8, but I'm coming in an eighth. I'll explain why here in just a second. And then this angle over here, we can measure that. So let's just say that I'm going to leave that for the time being. Okay. So next, we're going to take our square. Okay. Now, we're not necessarily making the mark where we're actually going to cut this out. what we're doing here is we want to show on the cardboard where where this template where the wood is. So we're basically just showing where when we cut this out, where it would be cut out. Because this gap, we don't want this gap here showing when we put our floor in. We want this covered, and this whole area right here covered. So first thing I want to do is I want to measure from, hopefully you can see everything. This will make sense. Okay, so we got an inch and a half from this line. Okay, so you got an inch and a half right there. And then that inch and a half comes down another inch and a half. So we're going to come down another inch and a half. This will make sense in a second. And then this comes in and touches this metal right there at 2.5 inches. So we got 2.5 inches. So right there. And then this should be 1 inch, and this is 1 inch. Okay. So what we're doing is we're just mapping out where this curve, we're just making a little template for where this layout is of this piece of steel. Okay. So this is this area here on the template is what we don't want to cut out. So this area right here, we don't want to cut this out. But this is going to be kind of like the instructional part. Okay, so this crossed out area, we will not cut that out. We're going to cut this area out. So this is where that bump out comes. And we know this line is this line. But what we can also do is measure this angle if we want to. So that's 1.5 inches. And so all we got to do is come down from here 1.5 inches. Okay. And then we got to just measure how much does that come in, 1.5 inches. And then those two marks, it's essentially a 45, but that, I'm just going to dot it. So that represents that. So now if you can see, if we put the template here, we can cut this area out first, which we will do, and I'll come right back. And we should be 99% of exactly what we just traced. Now, we'll obviously need to modify this a little bit. But we'll take that cutout. I'm just going to get that opened up just like that. And so now you can see this we can lay on top of the floor. And we don't have to stress out about taking too much off. And then we can actually move this back like that to dial in how much we take out of this corner. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So what we'll do is we'll take the floor, we will mark it, and then we'll cut it. So this will be a little bit challenging because we got the floor bolted down essentially. But the double check is that this line looks good, this line is square, so we'll know how this will translate onto the floor. So we'll get our template. Just like that. Lay it on here. We'll take a marker. And we're just going to do nice and light with a marker. Now we can clean the marker up with some denatured alcohol if we need to change where our markings are, but I'm going to do here, 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 just like that. Okay, so you guys saw the whole process. We made our template. Now we got something we can keep for the next build. I didn't mark out that one too good, so let me do it again. So now, that should be our cut line. And we can just triple check, just like that. That looks really good. And it does look like, let's see here. So that's good. This one, I'll probably have to trim a little bit, but let's go ahead and just stick to our plan. We'll cut this out. We'll see how it lays down, and then we'll see if we need to modify it at all. Get a phone call. I have to go grab that. Give me 1 second. And make sure these are clean cuts. Don't tear it or rip it, because then it's gonna, it's got fibers in this floor, which make it really strong. And you just don't want them to fray, because then it won't be good. But then, so now you can see, this is, you know, we're 99% there. So we'll let that relax. That looks really good. I might have to take this phone call. 1 second. Yeah, I do use a contour gauge. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I used that. Yes. Contour gauges are nice, like the plastic ones are nice. All right, let me see. What phone call? What did I miss? All right, I'm gonna put you guys on mute really quick. Let me go take this call. Give me 2 minutes. All right, I'm back. Yeah, so this is now, I'm probably going to keep this, and this will be the transit floor adapter piece, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, we'll zoom in just a little bit here. So you see, man. Yeah, it did a great job. Very, very nice notch. Because it will be visible, and that's the hardest part about some of these places on the floor is like you will see it. Okay, let's reset the camera and make our way to the other side of the van. In this case, we're going to move over to the steps. Yeah, perfect fit. Okay, so we'll start working over here by the door. We're going to make sure we're careful to take out all of our things that scratch. Okay. So this over here, all we got to do is follow this right here part of the floor. Again, this part here will be covered up by the trim strip, and then this part over here the trim as well. So it's really, you know, always take your time when you're doing stuff on your van. You know, it's expensive. Do a good job. It's gonna last you a long time. You'll be proud of it. But also, don't get too, you know, enjoy the process. Don't stress out. And we're just gonna stop right when we hit that edge. And we'll come down here. And we're gonna come in this way. I'm gonna come in just to knock this piece off. And then I'll come in tighter and clean it up. Be careful about hitting this section. So I'm just gonna go really nice and easy. Okay. So now this edge is nice and clean. And now we got that junk out of our way so we can come over here and get this to be a little bit cleaner. Just gonna put a little bit of pressure on here, fold it over. That way we can get this edge here started. Make sure we're looking at the wood as we cut. Don't focus on the foam. The wood is what this is mounting up against. Now in this van, I kind of upgraded. I typically have a like a 2x4 post here that is bolted to the floor. This is the step, so this area is not supported right here. So if you stepped on this after you did your flooring, this would crack off because this is open down here. So instead of using wood, I've now upgraded to a piece of 80/20. That's right there. And that supports this edge right here for the step. All right, now we're gonna go into the van and make our last cuts. Yeah, so this is, so what I do here, let me zoom out. If you guys are, oh good Lord, sorry. This camera's going crazy. Sorry, let me blow my nose and I'll answer. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Rod. Appreciate it. Okay, let me say that. So my name is Nick Eilerman. I build custom vans with Odyssey Custom Vans. So it's my custom van building business. We build adventure vans. This is one of our customer builds. And through Van Builder HQ, the YouTube channel, I walk you guys through how I'm building the van. A little bit behind the scenes, but it's meant to be a DIY van building channel so that if you are inspired to create your own camper van or you want to build it, you can follow my videos, see what I do, and then you can use those techniques and skills and build your own camper van professionally. So all the stuff you see here, this is a high-end professional adventure van. Not cutting any corners. You guys get to see behind the scenes and get to see everything, how it's installed. So that is what the channel is about, and glad you stumbled across the channel. So thanks for tuning in. Let's see here. Yep, so this is our California build. Customer out of California. We're based in North Carolina. And what I'm doing today is the Lonseal floor, which is a marine grade flooring, which we'll be putting epoxy down in just a minute. So now I'm gonna hop back in the van. We're gonna cut out this right side. And believe it or not, we will be putting down some epoxy. So we're on this passenger side now, and we're going to be cutting out just a little bit of relief. So we're just cutting a space here to let these pillar supports come through. And with the sole purpose of one, and basically is part of the floor install process, but what it also does is allow us to not bind the flooring up so that when the epoxy is curing, we don't have these little air pockets or bubbles or stuff like that. I'm gonna get this backside to lay down first, and then I'm going to I'm gonna come back to that. I'm going to zoom in here because this is a spot where I think it's going to stress a lot of you guys out if you're doing this. And that's the wheel wells. I've seen a lot of builds where the wheel wells they might be upholstered or carpeted, and there's not a lot of, the gap between the floor and the wheel well is pretty tight. Obviously for visual purposes. I have a cover. Awesome, yeah, thanks for the subscribe. Appreciate it. So this area is usually really tight, and so I'm gonna do my best to show you how I cut this out and make a nice tight fit. So first off, we're going to take it wide. Nice wide cut here. And that gets us really close. And what I'm doing is I'm looking where the floor is, and I'm coming back about 1.5 inches, and then coming in with the cut. So that takes that significant portion out, and now we can dial this in. So one thing I do is I line it up to this side on the driver's side flush, and then back over here on this side, I'm able to, we have to do a little bit extra trimming, but it tends to work out. All right, so this one, we want to find where our line is, and we kind of found it right here. So there's lines on this wood, and you can kind of see, and what we want to do is kind of go wide, but we really want to make sure we just kind of use that as a guide in cutting this slit right here. And we're always being very conservative with these cuts. We don't want to take out too much. So we're just gonna keep coming in like this. And you kind of just want to get the razor to kind of come in and grab. And then once it grabs, you can kind of drive it with the handle. And don't worry about hitting the metal and nicking it and it rusting or something like that. Don't worry about that right now. You can always put a little paint on it later. Okay. So now we're just getting tighter. So you're gonna lift it up. So this point over here that I'm starting from, it's a point where I just want to make sure I don't go any further past that point. There we go. And now we're just going to push it against the wheel well while we turn and cut. Then we gotta come up, cut it. Okay. So, and it doesn't have to look perfect yet. What we're doing is we're just making sure it's not, we're getting as close as we can and make sure it doesn't touch the metal. Then we're gonna roll the epoxy on, let it set for a day, and then we'll come back when it's hardened. Then we can really work and get these like minute, good Lord, I can't get this. My stabbing technique to get this is not working. There we go. So we just want to make sure we don't get that in there. We just don't want to touch in the metal. So this side's perfect over here. This is great. Because we'll come back after it sets. And we'll do a nice clean finish cut when everything is nice and solid. We do need to go ahead and cut this side right here. So let's come up here. Don't cut our electrical wires. We don't want to do that. But now that we kind of found where this line is, I'm just going to follow this wood. I want to give you tips on not cutting towards yourself, but I'm going to do some things and just don't do stuff that, if you haven't worked with razor blades and stuff like that, just be very careful. There's not really a lot of forgiveness in the blade. Okay, so that's not touching. That's good. Let me move the camera again. Okay, we're on this section at the moment. Okay, don't want to cut our wires. Let's cut this. Here we go. And here we go. And we'll just gauge where we want this to come back to. About right there. Remember, be conservative. You can take more off as you go. This floor is expensive. And the amount of effort and time it would take to get it another one on order would be terrible. So let's just not do that. Okay, that's looking good. I do want to come down a little bit more. Okay, looks perfect. Speaking of these notifications, what's going on here? Okay, let's back it up. All right, now that laid down a little bit, let's come over here and knock this corner out. You guys still see? Okay. Watch our electrical wires. Okay. Now, from my experience, this corner, we need to make sure we have enough room to allow the floor trim kit to lay in this corner. So that's important that we give it room to do that. Remember, we're following the wood first. Let's look at it from underneath. Watch your electrical wires. And then you can come back and do a finishing cut here. Then we can press it down, same thing. You're not supposed to cut towards yourself, so just be careful. Okay, so that side is done. Our wire area is done. The wheel well is getting there. Give a shout out to Rod for sticking with the channel last couple of years. I can't believe it's been that long. Seriously cannot. Okay, so now we're going to come back here to the back. We'll finish out these cuts, and then we'll keep going. So this is fine. This is touching right here, so we can't have that. So we need to get this out of there. And even if it's barely touching, you do want to come back a little bit, because believe it or not, the roller will actually it'll slightly stretch the floor. When you are rolling it out, and we just don't want that to keep it from the epoxy sticking or adhering the floor down. Yep, so this is still sticking here. I really want this side to be perfect because the wheel well that's coming over here, I need to make sure I might have to trim the bottom of it so it's possible. It might expose the floor a little bit, so I just want to make sure I don't see it. Okay, so now we're at the elusive spot over here where it's always a little bit of pain because this is extremely visible back here. Everybody sees this. And we're just going to go little by little. We're going to get our massive chunk out first. Always double check on the weather stripping. Just make sure we're not going to cut into it. And then one thing we're going to do is go ahead and cut this back piece to size. Okay. And what that'll do is that's going to help us a little bit on figuring out how to come in and attack this corner piece, which I think is right there. So we're just going to come a little bit above that. Now again, if there's lines on the floor, you should have this lined up pretty nice as far as being square. And we can use that as our template to be able to make that cut. Yeah, this is like where the artistry comes in, because for me, it's really annoying if I don't get this perfect. And then also be conservative with this side over here. It's also going to be visible. There, you will have a upholstered panel that will come on top of it, but you're going to want to make sure that you get it as close as you can over here. And a lot of these corners, what I'll do is I'll cut them at a 45. It tends to make sure that it doesn't stick. Okay, I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and notch this little triangle piece back here. Okay, we did it. We got the floor all trimmed out. Let's take a little zoom around the van. Zoom you guys out. Reset the camera. Okay, so now we've got the floor cut out. That's about how long it takes. So what, that take me an hour or so. Probably without talking is a solid hour. Just taking time to do that. We got the edge over there, looks good. Back of the van, everything's laid down nice. Let's see now. Let's see what places might give us some trouble. I think we're doing pretty good. What's nice is I immediately cannot see where the spots in the floor are. We get those nice and flat. All right, we are going to take a quick break. I'm gonna grab some food, and then I'm gonna come back for part 2. We're gonna mix up the epoxy, and we're gonna lay it down on one side. We're gonna trowel it out, fold it over, go to the next side, trowel it out, and then we're gonna roll the floor. And then what we'll do is there'll be a final floor rolling about 2 to 3 hours after the first roll that we do. So we'll roll it this way and roll it this way. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. But I'm gonna do that, grab a bite to eat, come back. So we'll be back here on stream. Let's do probably like 7 o'clock or something like that. We'll hop back on. We'll answer any questions that you guys have on the flooring. So yeah, come back here at 7. We'll be live, and we'll see you there. Also, get subscribed to the channel. Check out Van Builder HQ if you haven't. That's our website where we have one thing. I have my camper van conversion blueprint, which is my DIY camper van conversion course that you guys can take. Right now, we've got it on sale for just 50 bucks. It's going to take you through the whole van build process. Finding a van, what engine to pick, what size of van, interior, electrical system, water storage, design and layout. Check it out. There's also exclusive content in there that I don't post online if you want to access it. I will put the link. Let me get the other link. I'll get this link. Here we go. Check this out if you guys are interested. I also have a free offer, and that is my the DIY van build cheat sheet. So it's essentially about 3 years of all my Amazon purchases organized into an Excel sheet, and all you gotta do is click download the free cheat sheet, and you can check it out. Link in the description below, as well as if you guys want to hop on over to Odyssey, customvans.com. This is how you can get in touch with me about your own professional van build, van conversion. So these are the type of professional builds that we do in-house, and yeah, I'd love for you to check us out. Just click up here. Let me move this. So if you go over here into the right-hand corner, click Get a Quote. It's going to bring up this form, and this form is going to allow you to fill out some information for me, and then at the end you can submit a link. You can also click on access to my calendar, and you'll have access to my calendar so that you can set up a phone call with me. But links in the description are below. Check them out. We'll be back here in about an hour or so, and we'll finish up this flooring for today, and we'll answer any questions that you guys have when we get back. So we'll see you soon.